Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much, much more. I'm your host, Chris, and we've got to talk about this just a little bit.
Yeah, it's just completely empty up here and terrifying. But we did have one idea. Hey Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?
Yeah, sure, Ryan.
Yes, Ryan Reynolds and his team decided to drop the Deadpool 3 teaser while I was dealing with a hurricane, so I never properly got to chat with everybody about my thoughts of the Deadpool 3 teaser trailer. Now, the purpose of this video is in fact to talk a little bit about Wolverine in the MCU, but I do just want to take a moment to say, wow, people are going to start getting excited. Hugh Jackman's coming back. This is how you market a movie. Ryan Reynolds is an absolute expert at this. And before you all go ahead and ask, no, we're not anywhere near a trailer. They haven't even properly started filming yet. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is less than 5 months away and we don't have a trailer for that. And Deadpool 3 is over 2 years away. So we'll just pull the brakes on whole trailer talk, but it was nice to get an official update from the man himself and to see that Hugh Jackman actually was convinced to return. There was a lot of doubt about that. Hugh did a very good job of keeping this all quiet, and what an awesome reveal. However, we're here to talk about Wolverine in the MCU. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our other major movie and television news updates happening daily here on the channel. You can also follow me on my other socials, Instagram at Chris M. Rosser and Twitter at TheCultureChris. Links to both of those are in the description down below. So, I know what you're thinking. Chris, we just found out about Wolverine. What is there to talk about? Oh, friends, there is so much to talk about for this topic because the returning of Hugh Jackman almost guaranteed does not equal the casting of Wolverine in the MCU. Now, let me explain what I mean. But for starters, let me know in the comment section one of two things. How excited are you for Wolverine to return? And who do you still think will play the main MCU timeline's Wolverine? Because it is not going to be Hugh Jackman. In fact, I would be very, very surprised to find out that it was Hugh Jackman. Now, we can take a look at the second sneak peek that came out, where Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were sitting on a couch. Odds are by now you've seen it, but take a look at this little moment when they do some actual real explaining about Logan.
Yeah, after Logan.
Logan takes place in 2029, totally separate thing. Logan died in Logan, not touching that. What actually happens in our film is...
So they say very clearly there, the year that Logan happened is in the future, and we're not going to be touching any of that. That's still the fate of Wolverine. He's still going to go and die in Logan. It also sounds like this is that very Logan. If they're talking about this film from the Fox universe where Logan goes and dies and Professor X goes and dies and is really kind of the crowning moment of everything that happened, and now they're saying that that's not going to be touched, that's not going to be messed with because it happens later on in the future than this movie, that tells me that Logan's going to die. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is going to die. Also, common sense will tell you this is not the MCU's Wolverine. Hugh Jackman very, very much was adamant he wasn't coming back, and I do believe for a good amount of time there, that was something he believed. I do believe he thought he was done. Then maybe Professor X came back, Patrick Stewart returned, and that might have convinced him to come back for one more ride, to have his involvement in the MCU like he dreamed of, and to move on. And of course, whatever Ryan Reynolds is planning is going to make for that all to make a lot of sense and hopefully somehow work it through. It does seem like to me that Ryan Reynolds will be doing some multiverse hopping from his universe and eventually end up in the MCU, but for the time being, he's going to have some adventures, meet up with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and many other fun things as well. So, for sure, 100% be excited about Hugh Jackman returning to play Wolverine, to be on screen with Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. They're both basically their own characters at this point, so that is something very exciting. But don't forget, the MCU is also doing its own thing. Much like how they gave us Professor X in Multiverse of Madness, they gave us Mr. Fantastic with John Krasinski, and all of these other cool cameos that lasted half a moment. that still isn't the plan in the MCU. Yes, there is a lot of talk that John Krasinski may still return to play Mr. Fantastic in the MCU, but there is just as much talk that that's not the case. That Kevin Feige gave fans what they wanted because it wasn't permanent. He knew everybody wanted John Krasinski, so he gave it to him in Multiverse of Madness, so in the MCU it would be somebody different. Professor X, it's the same thing. Everybody wanted to see the legendary Patrick Stewart return to play Professor X in the MCU. Well, now they've done it. And they can move on and find somebody that suits their plans for the MCU. Now, hopefully you don't find this disheartening but exciting. I know a lot of you guys love these characters being played by these actors. But I think it's time to move on from that. And I don't mean that in a way like, oh, I don't want to see Hugh Jackman in Deadpool. I definitely do. That's going to be amazing. I wouldn't want it any other way. But in the grand scheme of things, in the sacred timeline, in the big picture, fully casting the MCU with these X-Men or these returned characters, I would love for them to be somebody new. Now, there's a lot of talks of options out there and people who have been fan casting, not necessarily really rumors. People like Zac Efron, who has a very, very close connection to Hugh Jackman, talks about how he would love to do it. Daniel Radcliffe, he would love to do it. Taron Egerton has talked about how Marvel's already approached him trying to get him to play not Wolverine, but Cyclops. These are things that are currently happening in the background. Marvel's talking about who is their best selection to play this character. And one of the best rumors I've heard is that Tom Hardy will be done with Venom after Venom 3 and make his way over to play Wolverine. And I think Tom Hardy would be a fantastic pick to do that. Now, it really does just depend on the plan for Wolverine and if that would all work and make sense, and if people can separate Tom Hardy from Venom enough for him to play a clean Wolverine. And then, of course, there is the you can't forget option of somebody completely new entirely that is very, very unwell known, that isn't a massive big name actor, that can come in and do an awesome job, which with Marvel is something that they know how to do. They know how to find passionate, talented actors who aren't big named, make them something massive in the MCU. They'll run their 10 plus years there, and then he can go off and become a big actor in the world elsewhere. But I do think it's going to be somebody young, it's going to be somebody hungry, and it's going to be somebody perfect for the role. If there are many things that we can complain about Marvel, casting really isn't one of those things. Yes, I'm sure throughout the 15 years or so, you can say, wow, this character wasn't portrayed very well, or this actor wasn't very good. But for the most part, 95%, if not even higher, of the time, Marvel absolutely nails their casting. So, who do you want to see play Wolverine? Yes, we're all excited for Hugh Jackman's return, but don't forget the big picture. X-Men in the MCU from our timeline, which isn't going to be Hugh Jackman. It just won't work out that way. He's a little too old, and I think he's a little done with the character. He's already back at the gym, working out at his age, getting ready for this film, and that's awesome and super admirable because he's doing it for you guys. He's doing it for us. He's doing it for the fans, and maybe a little bit he's doing it for Ryan. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. There is going to be some more Wolverine news somewhere on the horizon, but I wouldn't say to expect it before we actually get the Deadpool movie. Deadpool's coming out in 2024. There are no X-Men projects before that, and I don't think Wolverine will be one of the first X-Men we see. In fact, we've already started to get glimmers of X-Men in the MCU, and Wolverine's not one of them. Now, there might be rumors, which we've had a plethora of already, but as far as hard news, I think we're 2.5 to 3 years out from any real news. So, with that being said, let me know how excited you are in the comment section down below. Let me know who you want to see play Wolverine in the MCU, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.